Well done. Thank you for making it here. I was just wondering, well, what are we gonna do in the guided meditation this morning? And it occurred to me how important it is to remember that we don't always have to do things, and that so much of actually what this practice teaches us how to do is just be. And of course, there is the dynamic that is our life force that's undeniable, that's telling us do things, you know, and live and engage and, get up and get dressed and don't miss your flight. you know, um, there actually in the Yoga Sutras is a really wonderful designation of what it calls different, um, I believe the translation is most correctly layers of the mind. I think aspects is also a nice way to think about it. And the sutras, the Yoga Sutras, the philosophy of yoga designates three aspects of the mind. We could certainly um, further break those down into more and more and more because there are so many aspects of the mind. But I think the three are a good place to start in terms of understanding what is going on behind the scenes and how can we serve our primary role, which is director. This is our production. Maybe we're producer, producer and director. You'll have to forgive me my theatrical analogies. Well, I'm sure I've come a bit short. I don't really have any experience in the theater. So if anybody else does, maybe you'll help me with my analogies. But oftentimes we feel like we're the star, and sure, oftentimes we are the star, and then we're the crew, and then we're the director and the producer and the writer. Um, and so again, how can we best understand what our primary role is, what the role is that no one else can do in our life, and how to actually be present for it and enjoy it, to actually be even entertained by it. What an amazing concept that it might be intriguing and that there might be, these plot twists like, oh, flight's canceled. Okay. Didn't see that one coming, you know, or whatever else the plot twist might be that you are um, just coming upon as you continue to read or watch the story of your life. So these three aspects of the mind, I'll just mention them in case I know sometimes some of you are like, wait, you said there were three and I didn't, I didn't catch them. So there's what I like to call the administrative assistant, kind of the surface level of the mind, the one that's responsible for kind of checking the time and making sure you're where you're supposed to be and making sure your pants on, or I mean, we're on Zoom, you don't need to have pants on, but if you were leaving the house, making sure you had pants on and generally making sure it's sort of reality checking, making sure that you're in the context of the rest of the world that you're engaged in. So let's honor him or her or they. Probably don't need to be gendered, but we don't have a good English way of doing that. By just kind of looking around in your context, like, are things? Is there anything that needs their attention? Like, is the light too bright or not bright enough? Or, why not? Why not? If this is within your capacity and your control, and if you have the ability to influence, you know, I'm sitting with my hand resting on top of the space heater. It's wonderful. So are we in a context that is relatively safe, or is there something we need to be, paying attention to? Maybe you've already noticed. You might also now notice that you're breathing. And isn't that wonderful that we actually don't need to be constantly monitoring that? It's not part of our responsibility to keep paying attention. Okay, and if the, administration of things is okay for the moment, then that kind of busyness, that checking instinct when it arises, because you may not be able to prevent it from arising, especially if you've just been busy, this morning or this phase of life. The habit of being busy can be well entrenched. So you may not be able to prevent that urge from arising, but just, oh, okay, no, we're okay. 10 more minutes of meditation. We're okay. Margie will let us know when it's over. You can just do all the things later. And notice your breathing. Isn't it lovely? That just continues to work. There's also this aspect of the mind that is called ego, and that's important. It's who we want to be, who we are in the world. And it's always becoming, you know, those of us who have been around for a few decades or more have seen aspects of our ego come to the foreground and then maybe to the background. I have a ukulele sitting in the corner of the room. I haven't picked it up in a long time. I hope that, it might again arise, but it hasn't been the most important thing lately. So you might just kind of again check with that aspect of your mind this morning, this ego of like, who do I want to be in the world? How do I want to project myself into the world? And if listen to this reflection, and it might be something that you take more time with later, but if you just ask yourself, how do I want people to see me? There might be one or two or three aspects of personality or traits that you can see more clearly or hear more clearly. And then remind yourself, honor it. Just like you might not be able to stop the instinct to do something, you might not be able to suppress the urge to be seen as something or someone, but you might be able to spend a little bit more time observing these urges and maybe noticing if there's one that is most important or would be most useful to nurture today. With the next person who you encounter, whether it's the ticket agent or your partner or yourself in the bathroom mirror. How can this quality of identity, how can it be honored by your presence, strengthened by your practice? And again, here we are still breathing. The next and final in this model, sometimes the most subtle of the aspects of the mind, is intelligence or wisdom. That's this sort of knowing, compassionate, somewhat sensitive or vulnerable even because we do know in our hearts, right, where our challenges lie, how hard it can be. So the ego and the manas, that's the administrator of the mind, they protect and sometimes though shield that wisdom, the compassionate observer closer to the core of who we are. But again, these practices give us the opportunity to create and to hold a space that's safe and supportive, where we can be engaged with our whole experience, not just what's out there in front of us, but what's in here inside of us in a way that is deeply moving and surprising, and touching. So let's, for the last couple of minutes of our meditation time this morning, let's use a simple phrase. I'll suggest one, and then I'll encourage you to edit it or to use one that feels more resonant for you. But how about just for this morning? I know. As you notice your breathing, as you inhale, I know. And in that moment, maybe you know that your inhalation has arrived. I know. Exhalation will follow. Okay, a few more times together with the awareness of breath, of these aspects or layers of the mind, our ability to choose where we focus and hold attention, even just for a brief period of time, so that we can be more clear, more steady, even as we move through the fluctuations of the day. The Yoga Sutras also tell us that when we practice like this, connecting with each other, with the practice, with these aspects of the mind, that we can calm the fluctuations of consciousness within. And with that steadiness, find joy and ease. And again, maybe even the entertainment value of the plot twists. I know. Okay. Thank you for the reminders. Thank you for being here. If what you have realized is that you know that you need a nap, I encourage you to do that, or a snack, or a hug, or, you know, you might have realized something. Maybe even just you would consider taking a note, maybe coming back to the administrator of the mind and like, okay, well, I know that these are opportunities that I'll put on my list for later. I really want to encourage you to, again, embrace who you are and what you do and engage more and more with the potential to integrate all these aspects of the mind and go about your day. I hope it unfolds beautifully and that you are nourished and that we can connect again soon. Okay.